you love the music. You get the call from your agent. He's put you in for the role. What is the next steps to you actually getting that role?
So then from there, I get submitted, and of course, I'm a real actor, because a lot of times you'll have, and there's nothing wrong with this when there's no one else, because sometimes like a Blind Side,
Yeah.
they needed an actor so big but so young looking at the same time. There just weren't any established artists or actors that could do that, so they had to just go on like a, what we call a cattle call.
Yeah.
Just search the nation for their guy. So you'll get that sometimes, where you have an artist or someone notorious, Jamal Woolard, to my understanding, that was his first real acting. So, they go on a cattle call to find these artists, because there are not a lot of actors who look like and could embody Biggie Smalls, at that time. And just with other people as well, like I said, with Blindside. And so with Suge, they wanted a real actor, but then it was like, where in the world do we find a real actor who is, trained and experienced
And physically
and
dominating.
physically that size and have the look and can capture his spirit?
Did you have to do some special training or anything?
A lot of eating.
I like that problem.
A lot of Edie's ice cream and Domino's pizza. No, but that's a real story too. But no, so back to your original question, I get the call that they're interested, which I already kind of knew. I didn't think I would be automatically the one, but I knew I was definitely going to be in the because it was like you're going to find like 5 guys maybe.
Yeah.
And so so I knew I was going to get a call back, and so to audition. So they sent for a self-taping, which a friend of mine, who's also my business partner now, Chasen Beecham, we just went to his house and, had the audition. He recorded it for me on his camera, and they wanted it uploaded on Vimeo. And for whatever reason, the day that it was due that day. It was due like 1 p.m. And we recorded it and then tried to upload it, and Vimeo would not let that damn audition upload.
Yeah.
And they're calling me, and this one I knew they were interested, because normally in this business they give you a time frame.
Yeah.
And if you don't meet that time frame, they move on.
On to the next one.
Yeah, like don't even send it, bro.
Yeah.
You're good.
You're good.
We've already moved on. Yeah, so I knew they were interested because it was barely moving.
Yeah.
And it had been uploading for like 2 hours. I missed the 1 o'clock deadline.
Carolina internet.
Yeah, I missed the 1 o'clock deadline. It's going on 3 and 4 now.
Yeah.
And so I have my agent blowing me up. I have their casting department blowing me up. I've got the assistant from the casting blowing me up. And they're all like, is it up now? Is it up now? Is it up now? We get to about 7 o'clock that night, and they're still calling.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're frantic, but also at the same time, like, damn, they must really be interested.
Yeah.
And so I tell Chase, and I'm like, hey, screw this. Upload it to YouTube. They're just going to have to take it that way, because this Vimeo still hadn't gotten halfway, I don't know why. Usually Vimeo is really good, but that day it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so he said, all right, you sure? I was like, yeah. He uploaded it to YouTube, uploaded in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And with the private link. So hit them back and was like, hey, we're uploading this thing to YouTube. You guys are just going to have to watch it there. And they were like, we don't care at this point. We just want to see it. So got it, sent it in. They loved it. So then from there, it was like, okay, we want to see you in person. Now, meanwhile, at the same time, because I didn't do the struggling actor thing. That wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to wait table. My 6'5" ass was not about to be waiting tables and putting up with people's BS. I didn't have the temperament. So
Suge Knight.
yeah, no, I'm just more mature now. But back then, I hadn't matured quite as well yet. So I was like, yeah, it's not, waiting tables is not going to be for me. So I went into, learning to be an entrepreneur, opening businesses, I've owned nightclubs and other stuff. But at that time, another business partner of mine, we had a third party auto finance company.
Okay.
And that had been so successful that then we were like, we're making a lot of dealerships, a lot of money that we could be making ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we decided to open a dealership. So we were like days off from the grand opening.
Okay.
So I was like just crazy busy already with that, right? So then I get the call. It was like, we want to see you in Atlanta. Because
Like
that's
a
where their
grand
production. Yeah, that was where their production base was. So I'm like, okay, well, when do you guys want to see me? He's like, well, the director and the casting, Winsome Sinclair was the first casting person I dealt with. Shout out to Winsome Sinclair and her company. Her and her business partner. I can't remember his name. Really cool dude. So sorry, but
Cool dude.
yeah, cool. That's cool, dude. So it's them two that run her business, and so I was seeing her and Carl Franklin. Carl Franklin's like a renowned director, so I was like excited about like, oh man, Carl Franklin's gonna, because I didn't know who was directing at the time. So I was like, oh man, they got Carl Franklin, like wow. And I just finished watching House of Cards, which he directed like most of the episodes.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, so when? They're like, tomorrow. And I'm like, dude, like, because you know they don't pay for your flights when you're auditioning. You know.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, all that's on you until you get the job. Then they start paying you and taking
And it's
care
last
of your flights.
minute, so that ticket
Yeah,
cost is,
so you already know.
What?
You know, yeah, it's like almost $2,000 to jump and take that
and
flight.
they didn't have Zoom calls back then.
They did, but they wanted me in person.
Oh. Travel voucher, baby.
Yeah, so I tell my partner that he understood how big it was, and he knew, he's
Yeah.
known me for years, so he was like, well, I mean, you're an actor, because I never quit that. I just, worked both. And I was like, yeah, I got to go. And he was like, cool, man, I'll hold it down, do your thing. And so I book a flight last minute, spend a lot of money, and I show up at the airport at 5 a.m. I think I have like what was it? I think like 4 p.m. time to meet with them to audition in person. And so I get to the airport at 5 a.m. and my flight gets delayed. And something, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, and this is when I learned this about flights. So if the toilet stops working on a plane, they will cancel the whole flight, or that plane cannot leave the ground until that toilet's fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
I could give you a why, but we've already talked about human resources, and I'm not allowed to talk about
no
that on
human
the show.
resources issues. So my flight gets delayed, and they're trying to fix it. And so now here we go again. The calls start. My agent, the casting office, they're like, "Is he on his flight? Is he on his flight?" And I'm like, no, time goes by, and then I get sick out of the blue. Like I'm feeling like I'm catching the flu or something. So I'm feeling like crap. I'm getting annoyed and pissed. But there's nothing I can do about it, So I wait and wait and wait and wait. Everyone's getting like antsy because time is going by. Finally, they just get us a whole nother plane. And so I think we end up leaving out like 3, and my audition appointment is at 4.
Yeah.
And so I make it to connecting Charlotte. And so I get to Charlotte, but now we've already missed our connecting flight to Atlanta. And so, I'm sitting there trying to get on like a last minute flight. And fortunately, there was this woman who was working one of the desks at the flight going to Atlanta, the next flight going to Atlanta. And I went to her and I was like, I know you got a lot of people trying to get to Atlanta, and this flight is already about full, and you guys are going to try to get a couple of people on from our flight. Please, if you can get me on that list. I've got something I know she was like, the hell are you talking about? But I was like, I got a very important audition I cannot miss in Atlanta. And she was like, well, look, you've already got like, I think they had like 9 seats left, and they already had like 11 people already ahead of me. So it was like, you're not making this flight, brother.
Did you try the Benjamin Charm?
No, man. It was desperate charm.
Okay.
It was just desperation. Like, I think she looked in my eyes and was like, I don't know what it is, but he needs to get to Atlanta. Because I was like, lady, please, look in my eyes. This is desperate.
Desperate.
And so she was like, if anybody steps out, I'll call you up. And I'm like, damn, again, I'm getting blown up by agent and everyone else. And I'm trying to get on the flight, man, but it's not looking good. And so she calls me over the intercom, and I come up there, and she's like, look, I've been able to finagle you the last seat. So I'm like, oh, God, thank you. So I get the flight. We're leaving out at like, this is like 5 o'clock at this point.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be there at 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I land in Atlanta finally. I catch an Uber to their office, the casting office. By this point, it's like 8 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock, something around there. And I walk in. Mind you, by now I'm feeling like pure shit.
Yeah.
And so I walk in, and the whole Winsom's office is pretty much empty of people, except that her 2 assistants are still at their desk. And I guess they were waiting on me because it kept telling them it was coming. And so I walk in there, and they look at me like, oh, no, you gotta give them some bad news. Yeah. And so I'm like, hey, I'm here for the Suge audition. And they were like, oh, sorry, man. They were like, Carl, because I was supposed to see the director as well. Carl had to catch a flight, so he's been gone. And Winsome and her partner you just missed them. They just left. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. And so I looked at him, and like I said, I was feeling like crap. I had the most annoying day in the world. And I looked at the guy, I don't know his name, but I looked at him, and I was like, okay, well, somebody's filming an audition today. I might not get the role now, but I done went through all of this to get here. One of y'all gonna film this audition.
But think about it this way: the pure Suge energy that statement had in itself is destiny, baby.
Yeah, it had to be. But I did, man. I wasn't trying to bully him, but I was just like,
It came out a little bit.
I was like, dude. I told him I wish I could remember his name so I could ask him, laugh about it now.
Yeah.
But because he looked at me like, you right. Yeah, okay, yeah. Even if it's for no reason, we're going to go ahead and film something. He's like, so give me like 15, 20 minutes. I'll go and set the camera up and all that stuff, and I'll record you.
Yeah.
And I was like, my man, thank you. I brought an outfit to change into as well to try to get into that mode of Suge. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go change, and I'll be back. So I went to their bathroom, changed into this outfit and whatnot. I already had I wore like a stocking cap and had slicked my hair down. Because I wasn't shaving it. Because I'd never been bald in my life at that point. I didn't know what I looked like bald. But I was like, I'm not shaving my curls until you show me some paperwork, then I'll shave it. And so I had my hair slicked, gelled down as low as I could get it. And so I went and changed and came back in. And he comes out and he's like, hey, you're in luck. Winsome and, again, forget my man's name, but cool dude.
Cool dude.
Yeah, Winsome and cool dude. Actually had never left the parking lot, so I was able to run and stop them. So they're actually going to be in here and watch you.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, yes. So go into the room, and it's funny as hell because I know they were annoyed because at first Winsome was just looking at me like, this better be good. I swear to God, this better be good. And so, we go to set up. So we ended up not shooting this in the movie, ended up getting cut. But my audition that day was for the Source Awards scene. What producers dancing all up in the videos, like that whole spiel that Suge did at the Source Awards. And so I had to do that. Did it the first time, and Winsome's eyes lit up. And she was like, do it again. And so I did it again. And again, I'm an actor. So even though I'm not from the West Coast, I've been around enough, I got enough LA friends and stuff. I know that LA twang. And these guys are from LA. So, of course, I'm going to put that twang on there. And so I do it. And she was like, he even like has the LA, like swag. And I was like, yeah. So she was like, can you do it one more time? And now she's smiling. Both of them are smiling. So I'm like, oh, this is good. So now